Today I'll take you behind the scenes of Twilight's Vendetta, my latest short film which I wrote and produced in less than a month. I'll share everything about it, from the inspiration for the idea to what cameras we used, the lighting, coloring and sound design. Well, you get the point. I spent less than $100 on this film, mostly to pay for a voice actor and a police officer shirt. Spoiler alert, I will show some parts of the film including the plot and the ending, so if you haven't watched it yet, watch it first. The film is about a douchebag that chats to girls on dating apps, lying about his past to have a better chance with his prey. Only this time, the tables turn around. Many people struggle with ideas. If you have that problem too, read this book. You'll thank me for it. The idea was inspired by another film, the title of which I need to remember. In it, a person was being stalked by someone on the phone. Eventually, we found out that the stalker was hiding inside the house of the person he was stalking. That was the foundation for the idea of my film, and the rest was built on top of that. It always works like this. I start with an embryo and assemble all the other pieces together, usually as I write. This is the most enjoyable part of the process. The film gets its shape, structure and soul during the writing. I knew how the film was going to end. The stalker hiding inside the stalked person's home would eventually come out and kill him. I took advantage of what I already had. Me as the person who was going to get killed and Lena as the killer stalker. That alone was a twist already. Usually it is the other way around. A man kills a woman. Killing is always horrible, so I wanted to give Lena an excellent reason to do so. I made my male character a douchebag that truly deserved what he got, providing justice to all the women he lied to in the past. Because this story is a horror film, I had to create tension and fear, so I came up with 3 events to deliver those emotions to the audience, increasing the spookiness bar each time to build up until the climax, revealing the killer inside the house and having her performing a creative execution. We started with banging windows and continued with broken objects, eerie sounds and spooky shadows lurking behind my character. By the way, this video is sponsored by myself. I'm trying hard to give all creators out there the necessary tools they need to produce their first short film. Beware, all these tools are free. They are YouTube video classes that you can watch in your own comfort. There are also cheat sheets and downloadable PDFs. No email address or credit card is necessary, but just one request. Let me know if you like or dislike those videos. Your comments make me feel less lonely, cold and weird. You can tell a story even if you don't have fancy locations. Like most of my films, Twilight Vendetta was shot almost entirely in Lena's home. It's convenient because Lena doesn't charge me for that as long as I tell her I love her from time to time. I'm just kidding. And it's also the same building where I live. That means we didn't have to pack our gear and props. All we had to do was climb a few floors and carry what we needed to produce our masterpiece. I'm not suggesting you shoot your film in your home, but you definitely can. No matter what your home looks like, you can write a story that fits that look and get away with it. As for the actors, you guessed it, I played the leading role. Not just because I'm a narcissist, but because I didn't want to hire anyone, and most of all, I have a lot of fun acting. I'm not at the same level as Robert De Niro yet, but hey, my film, my rules. And remember that, your movie, your rules. The other benefit of being the leading actor was that I didn't have to go through the headaches of managed people's availabilities, lousy moods, showing up late or not showing up at all. The issue with acting is that you lose focus on directing if you're also the director. Well, it isn't quite like that. More on this later. Lena played Lily, my psychopath girlfriend, once more showing that she's much more talented than I am. Diego did an excellent policeman role, and let's not forget about the absolute superstar in this movie, Mr. Mario Nano. The voice actor I used for Lily was hired on Fiverr. I used Michelle's services on this channel thrice, and she always nails her part. Shooting without a storyboard is like traveling without navigation. It's tedious and time-consuming, as you have to figure out important things like compositions, camera angles, camera movement, while shooting. Usually I plan each shot in the screenplay by saving another version of the screenplay for my storyboard. I break each scene's action line and dialogue with decimal numbers. For instance, scene number 1 is divided into several progressive decimal numbers such as 1.1, 1.2, 1.3, and so on. After I planned each shot, camera angle and camera movement, I draw the storyboard or pass it to someone who will draw it for me. Diego drew the storyboard in this case, and you can definitely spot the differences between his artistic skills and mine. Still, even if you have stick people on your storyboard, it'll be enough to make your shooting sessions faster and more efficient. The film was shot with the Sony FX3 as the primary camera and the Sony a7S III as the second camera. We used prime lenses only, which is my method. I use zoom lenses for run-and-gun shooting sessions such as vlogs or documentaries, and primes only when shooting films. Twilight's Vendetta was shot only on G Masters lenses. I'm lucky to own these fantastic glasses. We used a 24mm 1.4, a 35mm 1.4, a 50mm 1.2, and a 135mm 1.8. On top of each lens we mounted an 82mm mist filter, the Tiffen Pro Mist 1/4, which I absolutely adore and try to use it on every film I make. This filter removes some of the excessive sharpness of my G Masters lenses, making the images softer and warmer. It also provides a beautiful glow around your lighting sources. The camera was in a tilt cage and rigged with an external monitor, the Portkey LH5P Mark II, and the Axon Cine i2 Wi-Fi transmitter, which I used with an iPad Pro to check the compositions and direct myself on the go. As for the lighting, we used the Godox ML30 B-Color as a key light. We matched it to the warm color of the lamp above the table that was used to motivate the key light. We had a newer RGB light outside pointing at the window to simulate the indoors night light. An LED lamp in the bedroom was the warm source of light in our background. Some decoration LED lights around the plant to create pleasing bokeh balls in our shots. Both of the cable and the RGB lights were battery powered to have an almost cable-free environment. The cameras were used primarily handheld and on a tripod. We used the gimbal for very few shots, the DJI Ronin RS2, which I don't feel the need to upgrade. Another piece of gear that I absolutely can't live without
I put that on everything.
are my portable smoke machines. Yes, I have two, the Smoke Genie and the Ulanzi RF01. The latter costs a fraction of the Smoke Genie, almost a fifth, but is more portable, sturdier, and richer in features. The quality is identical, if not even better. This little gadget can fill a large room with quality smoke in less than a minute, and it's a joy to use. Turn it on, press the button on the remote control, and wait a couple of minutes for the smoke to settle in the environment. This will create a soft haze that will make your lighting magical and your shots much more appealing. We used only one microphone throughout the film, the Sennheiser MKH416, a hypercardioid shotgun microphone used in countless Hollywood productions. It was released in 1975 and today it is still the industry standard for film productions. The mic was connected to the Sony FX3 stop handle, so we didn't have to sync audio in post-production. All dialogues were digitally baked into the footage at 24-bit using the FX3 top handle preamplifiers. Even when shooting with a wide-angle lens, we could place it far away from the camera and still get an outstanding, crisp and clear sound. We shot this film at 25 frames per second. The best definition of composition is to ensure that each of those 25 frames in 1 second could be a piece of art that you'd put on your wall. Lena's couch sits directly on a wall. To attain some depth of field, I sat on the left side of the sofa so that it was framed in the top right third. I also had some distant background elements as well as a plant that we used to balance the composition. Of course, given the limited space, we had to be creative in finding good angles to cut to and maintain a fluid experience for the viewer in order to avoid boredom. Having two cameras filming simultaneously helped quite a lot. As previously said, a good layer of haze in the air, the mist filter we used throughout, the bokeh balls created by the LED lights we put on the plant, and a great set of prime lenses helped give our images a dreamy and cinematic look. I'm delighted with the outcome of the colors, and I admit it was totally random. The background was dominated by the grey of the wall, the table, the sofa, and the warm yellowish tone of the lights. My choice of wearing those same colors was utterly random and unplanned. Only in the edit we did realize how pleasant that choice turned out to be, complementing the composition with matching and contrasting colors. The film was shot with Sony Cine and S-Log3 picture profiles. Every shot was carefully executed at the perfect exposition, ensuring the camera metering always read +1 on the lit side of my face. The shooting took 7 days, not consecutive. Still, you won't notice any change in lighting because we worked hard at nailing the exposition each time. As usual, I didn't do any of the coloring. I still ask Lina or Diego or whoever is with me if my clothes colors match because I'm terrible at that. Diego is an excellent colorist and has a sophisticated eye for detail. He didn't use any LUT for this film. He created his own LUT and kept the contrast and saturation minimal, improved the cinematic feel of each frame even further. While I was acting, Diego was filming. Almost all of the film was shot on a handheld FX3 to attention to shots that required it and uneasiness to moments where we wanted to communicate that something was wrong. We did our best to move the camera only when required, supporting the emotional flow with planned Dutch angles, a vertical shot, and a fall shot. Similarly, the camera was on a tripod for those moments of control, contrasting even more with scenes where we needed to evoke tension and fear. As a director, my role was to direct the actors. As I was the leading actor in the film, I had to find a unique way to direct myself, which was a challenging yet rewarding experience. My iPad Pro and the Axon Cine EI2 Wi-Fi transmitters were not just tools, they were my partners in this film. They played a significant role in empowering me to monitor and control the visual aspects of the film, enhancing my performance as an actor and director. I always had the iPad to check the composition, monitor the exposure, and play back each shot to ensure my acting was convincing. A big size monitor is essential for every director and cinematographer. Moreover, I had Diego behind the camera, which was a blessing. He was consistently proactive, suggesting repeating shots he believed to be not quite compelling, and proposing alternatives that he thought would fit best in the final edit. I am a musician with some experience producing digital music, yet for all my films and YouTube videos I use Artlist.io. By the way, they aren't sponsoring this video. The music creates 50% of the drama in your images, but making music is a full-time job that I didn't want to engage with because it takes so much time. But for this film, I made an exception. I wanted to write the score, so I bought myself a MIDI keyboard, invested in a music sequencer, and purchased some virtual instruments that I needed for this film. It took me about a week to compose the music, and I'm happy with the results. I allowed myself to create something that was good enough rather than perfect, otherwise it probably would have taken more than a month. The results made me happy, and I plan to do so again. The difference between finding and composing the right track for a scene is enormous. There are dialogues in my films where my character switches from being seductive to suspicious and fearful. For instance, in this scene, the character starts to suspect the person's on the phone's authenticity. We let the audience experience that feeling by tilting the camera to a Dutch angle and introducing dissonant intervals in the same track that was playing up to that move.
It could be real if you give me some time.
I have patience, you know?
Have you ever been in love, Alex?
Like that? Out of the blue? Hey, when are we talking about? You may understand how difficult it would have been to find a track with those characteristics, let alone the timing, tempo, and genre. The sound design was also done in post-production, recording those sounds that were not perfectly picked up by the microphone during the shooting, and using sound libraries. It was a long video, but I hope you gained some ideas or inspiration for your next project. If you did, please share your thoughts in the comments and give this video a like if you think it deserves one. Until the next video, I hope you stay creative and have a fantastic day.